Alright guys, I have some GM gameplay to go through today to analyze it, and I'm going to talk about why I think GM has a good argument to be the best tank in the game. So I'm going to run through this, try not to pause it too much because it's a long clip, but let's go. So if you're going to res someone, rezzing is good, but you got to make sure that you are safe first. It's a little bit like you're in the airplane, something bad happens, and you got to make sure that you put your oxygen mask on for helping those around you. It's just like that with rezzing. If you die rezzing, you're feeding a kill to the enemy when they already got one, and it's essentially like bait, so be careful. Also, you can't stand on anything like that. I've tried multiple times. Like anything that has a slope to it, you can't stand on. A little bit of a pain, but so it be. So right now is a good example of how GM is rather tanky, but not so much. When the fight's gotten devolved a little bit, they're a little bit low. This is the time for you to push in when they can't damage you super hard, and you're sustaining yourself, and you just kind of walk through them. That's basically how you want to play GM, to push in and enforce space after you've already damaged it. After they're low on cooldowns and such and all that. And as opposed to the other clip earlier, where I got hit by the turning Gundam stun because I wasn't on my toes and wasn't ready to dash away. In this one, I am ready. So it's really useful to have him. Dodges it, and then I believe I get the kill on this guy because of that. Or not, apparently my aim is bad. But point is, I didn't die, which is very beneficial. And actually, I do clean up the kill here. My team started pressuring it. Right now, I'm trading myself for one person. It's okay, considering they were targeting me. It's okay to do that. You just don't want to hard feed to trade yourself for one person all the time, especially if it can end up being a waste of time even if you secure the kill. However, there are definitely times to go for 1v1 specifically. And me looking to hunt down this guy when my team's at an advantage is very solid. Right now, when we walk in here, it's a 6 or 5v4. So if I trade it, I'm turning it into a 4v3, where my team is still having a huge advantage. If I'm lower than them, I don't want to trade because I'm lowering the ratio of advantage. Whereas if I take myself 1-for-1 constantly for a person, I'm making it more advantageous for my team. Because my team has a higher ratio of advantage now than they did before. Pushing into this, you'll note how I looked at a lot of how I used cover. Cover is very important for a character like this, even though it has a shield, because cover, the shield is a soft cover. It's not reliable against stuns. It's not reliable against getting it broken. But as you can see here, I dash from cover to cover. It's very good and consistent. I don't take any damage in the process, and I do it again. And now because my team wants me in the position more than his does to support him, I'm in a better spot than him. Interesting tech for the way that these mines work. If you jump when you throw them, or you throw them in the air or whatever, they spread out further. They're very powerful. They will hunt down enemies. And I like having them like this because I want to secure 2 kills. So instead of having one specific spot that they can't go into, you have a large area in which enemies are getting hunted down, damaged, and experiencing a difficulty with. When you do get kills in this game, enemies come back very quickly, so you need to push fast. You need to go to the point. You need to deal with the situation. You don't actually have to always be on the point like I am right now, but you do need to be getting there. For usage of the grenade, try and use it on targets that you know are going to get valued a bit. Because of how fast he is and how fast he's going to dodge me on accident, I shouldn't use it on him. I should use it on my Sazabi instead. I like using it with Barbatos players because Barbatos players have a very specific location in which they slam into, and so it's very consistent to get that off. But again, a little bit more of just this like enforcement space. When I can take a 1v1 when the enemy doesn't have a lot of cooldowns, a lot of advantages, I can push into that and push the RSA out. So here is very important. If you have an ability like a dynamite, like something like that, or something that can even hit the spawn door, just set it up on the spawn door and drop it. I have gotten 50% ult charge out of one single mine before. This one I don't get any because I hit it late and it's on the wrong door. But like I said, I got 50% of my ult off of one mine. Very, very powerful to get your ults up first. It allows you to use them to wipe the enemy team and start building yours up again from killing them while they don't get it because they don't get any healing from dying. They don't get to redeem their healing, or they don't get to damage you in the process because they're not killing you. Again, hard to use that nade. But here's a good advantage of why my character is better than a Sazabi in certain circumstances. If I'm a Sazabi here, I have to get close to this Barbatos. This Barbatos will trash me on Sazabi. So I'm kind of have to just play my space and hopefully it misplays. But on this character, I can play at range while still having a very similar tanking power. I'm going to limit test and overextend here. I was doing that a lot in the beta test, just network test, just overextending, not overextending, but limit testing. I go a little bit too hard here. I should have backed up now. I'm low on cooldowns. And you really have to be cautious about throwing these mines in front of the enemy because it does lock you into a long cooldown. We die here, and if you die on this first point here, you basically lose the first point. That's why it's really important to hold more towards this location of the map, a little bit further up where you have an advantage. Playing it further towards where I'm, on the bridge where I'm mined will leave you constantly just getting outranged, getting picked, and it's just awkward. There's a lot of open space you have to be in, so it's much better to play closer to the point and just trying to hold it for as much time as possible. So I head to the high ground here. Heading to the high ground is very advantageous because it gives you the option to drop when you need to, because you have cover up there that the enemies can't see you on and you can control that, but also gives you the option to drop when you need to, so you have flexibility. Really, really useful. You should basically always be looking for that if you can, even if you're a character like mine that doesn't really want to do that. Granted, when you get hit by a Barbatos, everything goes out. It doesn't matter. So, so be. But you're going to consistently see me heading to the high ground. It's a little bit of an awkward position because for me to get into a good position, I want to play further on the right side here. The best place for me to be is right where I am right now for any character. But since I'm closer range, I want to be closer. But now I'm getting away from my team. And where I'm playing it right now is okay, but I'm further away from where the help I can get. Another location I'll show you has issues also. But here you can see this is a Sazabi wouldn't be able to do this. Get this guy just fed. Maybe I could tomahawk them, but just the fact that I can play my distance consistently and then bash them away when it's safe to is very, very powerful. Again, throwing the grenades, throwing the mines up, the ultimate mines, so they get a larger spread. And I get a lot of value out of it here, actually. Maybe not as much as I thought, but I do get a solid amount. Here my mine got blown up in the air as I was tossing it. It would have gotten a lot of value, but you have to be aware that a lot of spam damage will randomly hit it and make it completely negligible. So it's better to use it around a corner when the enemy's not ready for it, or set it up already and blow it up. But it's very, very, very strong. This location up here is the one I was talking about where it would feel best to play if there wasn't two ways to get there. I found myself getting flanked a lot because it felt right to play there, but I kept getting flanked. So ended up having a huge disadvantage on that front because of that. I don't think it happens here, so I'm okay to just stand up here and just, apply damage, but in a lot of circumstances it was rough. The tossed mine here has a really wide hitbox or it comes out a little bit late, so it hits the wall here, so you have to be careful about that. A lot of things have wonky timings on them when they actually leave your hand. Like a lot of the stun abilities like Tomahawk and Mace, RX-78's Mace feels the best to me, to be honest, but you do have to be aware of that. It's a little bit clunky, but it's not too terrible. This positioning is pretty solid. We're providing a nice little off-angle pressure onto the point, where we have a tourney on the left and me on the right. Anything that comes on a point here gets pressured. There's nowhere they can hide on point, so they have to take care of us first, and considering we're playing in solid cover, we're okay. Playing in those corners, they can't really be seen from high ground except for the opposite high ground where you can contest them decently. So yeah, I don't stay on the low ground very long. I return to the high ground because high ground is solidly advantageous. Low ground, you don't really know what you're going to get. You don't have options. Options are amazing. You always want to have as many options as possible. So yeah, I try and nade my little buddy here to save him, but that doesn't work because it's not instantaneous healing and also comes in late because it's slow. And then we just lose to a Nano Sazabi because you do lose to those. They do a lot of damage. Here is cleanup kills. And it's a good example of what not to do in Gundam Evolution. We are currently 6 people alive on my team. Maybe not all of them are back, but let's say it's like a 5 versus 2. There's no way they win that. There's just no way they win that. They're just staggering. They're wasting time. Particularly on a map like this where you can run in, get a pick, and then die for it as long as you secure the finish on the kill. It constantly is making them have a 5v5 where you get back faster than their player. And so it's like a 5.5 versus 5 constantly. I played a game versus a Barbatos who was abusing the character correctly and just constantly crushing us. And we always had someone dead. We never walked in as 6, so we never captured it. So in this portion, you're going to see me playing a little bit too aggressively, pretending I'm a Sazabi, maybe, you know, due to my natural main tank instincts. But right here, my shield's broken. I actually used my nade because, you know, brain issue there. The mine's pretty solid here, putting the mine in the corner, but I probably would have wanted to wait until I knew they were there a little bit. At least look a little bit. But I ended up playing too close, getting hit by a Barbatos and getting crushed because I'm playing a little bit too aggro and the enemy's not low cooldown, low resource yet. Granted, we didn't have that many people there in the first place, but also playing kind of like a main tank. Gets punched, but never give up, particularly on GM. A lot of characters actually just can't kill you once they finish their stun on you or whatever, or they're just 1v1ing you. You can frequently beat characters like Marase, any regular non-explosive damage or non-stun character, you can consistently beat them if your aim is solid enough. This is pretty good positioning because they're pushing into the side over here. I'm not feeling threatened by being on the right side. I'm actually able to get into my effective value range. As I talked about, it was a better place to be in the first place. But now I'm actually able to be where I want to and getting solid value out of it. From the Barbatos' perspective here, there are times to finish off a target and there's times not to. He dies because he chooses to finish off this target. It was probably going to die anyway if he'd waited and like got out safe. Maybe I could have rezzed it, but if I'd rezzed it, then, you know, and he lives, it'd be the same values of what ended up happening because he died too, leaving my team at an even, as opposed to me rezzing him and him living, also leaving him at an even, but still giving him the opportunity to take the fight. Especially considering we have fast response. When you're attacker, you don't ever want to trade. Defender, you want to trade. Unless you're like the most valuable character in your team, you want to trade as much as possible. Which means, you know, you kill them, they die too. Again, feeding, staggering from the Ashimar. They've definitely lost this fight. When a fight's lost, it's time to just get out. Nobody's doing it right now because it's a new game and people aren't quite used to it. But there's times to be in, there's times to be out. And when you're losing a fight on a 2CP map like this, and there's such close bonds, the time is to get out. So here I get a little bit unlucky, to be honest, but the 50% damage from this nano that Sazabi has just crushes me. 50% damage boost. But if I've been playing the cover there, potentially the stun pushes me behind cover and I live. That's what I talked about, where you don't want to treat your shield as if it's a hard cover. It's a soft cover. It is to reduce damage. It is not to pretend it's cover. So yeah. My team ends up cleaning this fight. I come from a safe lower position. They do need to be on the point right now, so it's okay for me to be down here because I can pressure whatever's on point here. Fight's over. Game's about to be over. So I'm going to toss my ult on the point to secure it. Probably could have done a little bit better, but it's a decent spread on that. They have a lot of HP, so you don't need to worry about them breaking either. And just clean up kills, and that's everything. So, quick summary. Just make sure you're playing not like a hard tank, but you're playing like a tank that secures the fight in the middle of it. You're like a little bit stronger version of like a Brigitte Sigma hybrid because you have long range damage. And yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to come and clean up fights and play your cooldown solidly, use your mines around corners, save your nades on things you can hit for sure, and make sure you're using your bash to clear off targets. I haven't quite worked out how effectively you can use it against something like Sazabi or Barbatos. I think Barbatos tends to win, but against something like Turn a Gundam, if it grapples you, if you delay it a little bit, you can bash it and you will win the exchange and it won't grab you. So I will be making a GM guide pretty soon, but until then, make sure you check out my other guides. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I appreciate it. I will keep making videos as soon and as rapidly as possible. I'm looking for a daily schedule. Later, guys.